Good morning. Today's Thursday. It's a little after 7 o'clock, and I want to do kind of an update video today because I have a lot of things that have been going on the past few months. Some things that I've already talked about, like my sauna and some of the new things that I'm trying with a practitioner I've been seeing, but also orthodontics. I went and saw my orthodontist a couple of weeks ago and have a pretty big update there as well. But since I think sit down talking videos are kind of boring, I thought I would just take you guys throughout my day and kind of give little updates as we go. So like I said, it's a little after 7 o'clock. I'm about to go outside for a quick little walk. I try to get outside every morning just to usually to get in a little bit of sunlight. It's a very cloudy, overcast day here, but I still feel like I feel better if I just get outside for a few minutes in the morning. We're gonna go do that and then do a little bit of a workout, and then we'll go from there. Just finished about 30 minutes on the elliptical. I do try to get some kind of movement in every day. Today was kind of an active recovery type of day because I did strength training yesterday and the day before. So I usually do about 4 strength training workouts a week, 2 upper body, 2 lower body, and then other days I just do some kind of yoga, walking, elliptical, something to just get moving, stay loose, that kind of thing. So now I just have to go get ready to head to an IV infusion appointment. Just got to my IV appointment. I have a few minutes before I have to go in, and I have still been doing my 2 IVs. It's really been more like every other week at this point rather than every week, just because I've been traveling quite a bit to ride. So doing my liver detox IV and then also the NAD infusion, which I have talked about in a previous video. I also had an appointment earlier this week, just like a brief check-in with my naturopath about some of the things that we've been trying the last couple months. So I have finished up doing 3 consecutive months of a parasite cleanse. So I did that 1 week out of every month. Didn't notice a ton from that. The first time I did it, I had kind of a stronger reaction, like a sort of gut discomfort reaction, which is fairly normal for doing this parasite cleanse. And then the second 2 times I did it, that was much better, and I didn't feel like I had a big response to it. So again, wasn't totally thinking that I had parasites or that was going to be like a huge issue, but because they can kind of be hidden and not necessarily show up in testing, it was just something we wanted to try for a few months and kind of check that box. So finished that up, going to take a break from that for at least the time being. I also had started taking a postbiotic. It's prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics, which can go look that up if you want more information. It's kind of an interesting concept. I did have a little bit of a reaction to that when I first started, maybe the first week or so. Nothing crazy or intense, but just similar to what you might get when you start a probiotic. You might just have a little bit of GI upset. But now that I've been on it I just finished the first 30 days, it seems to be totally fine, and I don't seem to be having any kind of reaction to it at this point. So we're going to continue doing that for another 2 months. I think with that, you try it for about 3 months to see what kind of response you get, and then we'll check in again and see if we want to continue or if anything noticeable has been happening with that. One other thing I talked with my naturopath about was we've been talking about redoing heavy metals testing, because that's something that we haven't done in a couple of years. It always, when we've done it in the past, I've always been very, very high, particularly for lead and mercury. We have done detox protocols before, which helped a little bit, but then the numbers would come back up again when we retested later. So now that I've had my sauna and been using that really regularly, and also been doing some other sort of lymphatic drainage support and other things to kind of help my body detoxify, we wanted to retest that, both just because it's been so long, to kind of see where things are at, but also see if anything has changed given some of these protocols that I've been doing. So we are getting that ball rolling. It's a little bit of it's not difficult, but it's just there's a couple of steps you have to take. So it might take a little bit before I actually get that done, but that's another thing that will be coming up soon. I'm going to go in and get my NAD IV, and I will check in with you guys a little bit later. It is a little while later now. I got back from my IV appointment and now I'm actually getting ready to hop on a Zoom call, which I'm going to tell you about in a moment. But also one other update about some of the health stuff that I've been trying. I mentioned in one of my last videos that I had started seeing a new practitioner who did some like kinesiology and homeopathic remedies. I've been checking in with him every couple of weeks and we've kind of just been like testing, retesting, trying some things, seeing what comes up. His goal really is to kind of work on like my nervous system regulation and seeing if we can kind of like uncover a little bit of a deeper layer of like where my brain might actually be kind of impacting how I'm feeling, or not kind of, but like really playing a role in potentially having some old patterns that kind of are stuck, that are keeping me stuck. So it's been really interesting. It's kind of a new perspective and like new things that I haven't tried, which I always find, I wouldn't necessarily say fun, but it is kind of fun sometimes, as long as it's not like super uncomfortable, which it hasn't been, so that's good. But we've been trying a few different homeopathic remedies. One of the things I tried the last few weeks was like a lymphatic drainage support. It's just some basically drops that I take twice a day. And interestingly with that, I actually noticed a really pretty big increase in joint pain when I was doing that. I tried taking a little break from it and it all went away almost immediately. So just now kind of trying to like find the right dose of that where I can still get some benefit from it without being too uncomfortable. But the other thing that he's always had in the back of his mind in terms of some of the testing that he's done, and given my history that I've talked to him about, like even from birth, I was born very prematurely and had kind of like a traumatic early life experience those first few months. So one of the things that he has suspected is that I might have some kind of underlying strep infection that kind of has, you know, quote unquote, gotten stuck in my body and is just sort of laying dormant in there, keeping all systems from being able to function very well, or kind of interrupting my immune system. So one of the things we're gonna try over the next several weeks is another homeopathic remedy that can target strep infection. With this, it's like a series of little vials of a tincture, and like every couple of days you take the next one. It's like they're numbered 1 through 10 and you take them under your tongue. It kind of gets stronger and stronger as it goes. I'm very curious to see how I respond to this. It is gonna take a little bit of time to get through it because you only do one bottle every like 2 or 3 days, I think it is, and there's 10 of them. So I think they said you usually don't really see any kind of reaction until you get more towards the middle or end of those doses. So pretty curious to see what's going to happen. I also had a session with him yesterday where he did a little bit of myokinesthetic work, sort of like waking up your nervous system in terms of like where you might have pain or restriction that is ongoing or lingering or hard to kind of resolve with other types of body work, interrupting those brain patterns where, again, like maybe your brain is sending signals for restriction or pain even though there's nothing really there that is actually causing a problem. It is sort of like another form of body work, but it's just basically trying to create an interruption in your brain response, or where where your brain might be sending unnecessary signals for pain or tension. And that was also pretty interesting, like during the actual time that we were working on it, like it felt really good and I felt like less restricted and more mobile afterwards. So also curious to see how that goes. That'll be like a series of a few sessions over several weeks to see if we can create progress, or if I notice a difference. A lot of this stuff, just like all this stuff that I've been doing for many, many years, a lot of it is kind of trial and error. You try something, you see if you respond to it. You got to give it enough time to see if you have a response to it, but then you try to find things that work and move towards the things that work. And if you find things that just really don't work or don't suit your body or your needs, you can move away from that and try something else. So curious to try some of these new things, see what kind of response I have, and go from there. I have to hop on a Zoom meeting now. So this is actually a Zoom meeting with somebody who reached out to me about jaw surgery. I have done several of these with people who have gotten in touch after maybe seeing some of my videos about my jaw surgery, and either they're just curious to hear more about my experience, or maybe they're thinking about it or getting ready for it and just want to sort of talk to somebody that's been through it and kind of get their questions answered, which I totally understand. I did that myself with several people. I was connected with other people that had done this jaw surgery and talked to them, you know, face to face, not necessarily in person, but was able to talk to them and hear about their experience. And that was really, really helpful for me. So I am happy to pay that forward and talk to anybody that wants to chat about this, or is thinking about jaw surgery, or maybe preparing for it and just wants to go a little more in depth. So yeah, if that's you, you can email me at the email that is in the description box below. I'd be happy to talk to you. Just finished up my Zoom meeting. It's always really nice to talk to other people who are experiencing or going through some of the same things that I have in terms of just like health issues or, even jaw stuff, jaw surgery, or contemplating that. And I think it's always also kind of nice for me to just like get a chance to kind of reflect on everything that I've done these last few years and sort of where I was before and where I am now, and just kind of process through that whole journey again and realize that I really have made a lot of progress, even if I'm not necessarily like where I want to be health-wise overall, that I've done a lot of things that will ultimately help me move forward. And it just kind of sometimes these conversations just sort of help give me hope or re-energize me to keep going. But speaking of jaw surgery and all of that stuff, I did have an appointment with my orthodontist like 2 weeks ago. It was actually a follow-up from a couple other appointments that we've been having because we've been talking about doing some more Invisalign, because I've had a little bit of, I think just with like some settling after getting braces off and obviously like fully healing from surgery. And then I had had some teeth that had kind of worn down previously when my bite was really not great. So through all of that, like now I have a little bit of a discrepancy in my bite where I just have a little less contact on my left side. It's actually gotten better, interestingly. I kind of stopped wearing my retainer because I noticed that when I didn't wear it, my bite felt a little more even. And knowing that like we were likely going to do some future work anyway, I kind of thought like I'm just going to try not wearing this and see if this feels better. So I have felt like my bite feels a little more even and more comfortable, but it's still like I have a little too much contact in certain areas on my right side and like not enough contact in certain areas on my left. So we had been doing some scans and doing some like the Invisalign scans, and then we also did like a new CBCT scan, and it actually was super interesting when I went to see her most recently because they have this new technology now where they can like merge those two scans. So you essentially have like this 3D image of your head and jaw structure, and also like all of your teeth and like the roots of your teeth and everything. Then she can like essentially manipulate in this technology like where they would move my teeth and sort of exactly what would happen, maybe not exactly, but like what they would predict is going to happen with the actual bone. So something I never really thought about with orthodontics is that when you're moving the teeth and you're moving the roots of the teeth, that's in your jawbone, obviously, and like there has to be enough bone there to kind of support that. You can't put too much stress on the bone by like moving the teeth too much. I think at least when you're an adult, that is what happens. When you're a kid, you can like produce more bone and grow more bone, so it's a lot easier for them to manipulate that stuff. But at this point, you have to be cautious about how much movement you do. Like you can't just put the teeth where you want them to without thinking about like what kind of stress that's going to put on different areas. So anyway, we were able to look at this and kind of get a more realistic idea of what can we actually do or try to get my bite to just sit a little more comfortably without obviously producing unwanted consequences or any like damage to the bone or stress on my teeth and bones and stuff like that. So the plan going forward now is to do another set of Invisalign. So essentially it's 12 months. It might be shorter than that, it might be longer. It's just like that's kind of the general timeline. But to do, however long it takes for the Invisalign to create a little bit of expansion on top and bottom, and then within that also certain teeth like just shift a little bit to make sure that the occlusion is good on both sides. So I'm really excited about this. I'm excited for the end result, I guess. I'm not super excited to have to do like maybe 12 more months of Invisalign, but that's fine. We'll get through it. Definitely curious to kind of see how this process goes, how it feels. Also kind of not looking forward to just like, your teeth and your mouth feel a little bit sore when you're doing this kind of thing, but hopefully it won't be like too uncomfortable. But just waiting for them to get my Invisalign in, and then I'm gonna have to go and have another appointment. This time with the Invisalign, I will have the little like, what are they? I don't even know what they are. They're like the little dots on your teeth that help like hold them in place or whatever. Kind of excited to get started with that. Kind of not, but at least will be interesting to see what the end result is and see if it kind of helps just make everything feel a little more comfortable and make sure that I'm not like putting too much stress on certain teeth over time. Just kind of trying to perfect things and make sure that everything's in a good place for the future. But yeah, we're looking at another, at least like probably another year or so of Invisalign starting as soon as they come in, which should be in the next couple of weeks. It's now a little after 7 o'clock. I am heating up the sauna, going to get in there tonight. I've been doing sauna at night mostly. Whenever I'm home, I'm in there pretty much every day, and decided to try using it before bed. And I've noticed a big difference in my sleep quality. I feel so tired by the time I get out of the sauna and I'm like trying to take a shower and get ready for bed. I just feel like, oh my God, I could fall asleep right now. And then by the time I like actually get in bed, I'm just like really, really ready, totally lights out. And also my Aura ring that tracks my sleep, I've definitely seen an improvement both, I think, in sleep quality and sleep quantity, but also like my recovery score has been significantly higher than it has been in quite a while, and my resting heart rate has dropped noticeably. Like usually for a long time, my resting heart rate, or like my lowest resting heart rate would have been maybe somewhere around 50, and like average would have been like, I don't know, 50 to 55 or something like that. And lately, it's not uncommon for me to see like my lowest resting heart rate being like 44, somewhere between like 45 and 50. So potentially like a 5 beats per minute lower resting heart rate, which I thought was really interesting. I guess I'm not positive that that's solely because of the sauna, but using the sauna at night before bed, seeing that difference in my sleep and my resting heart rate. So I think that's pretty cool. And then, like I mentioned before, going to be redoing heavy metals testing at some point in the near future to see if, now that I've done the sauna for a couple of months pretty consistently, see if that has moved the needle at all on the heavy metals. But just in general, really like the sauna and just really like how well it seems to set me up for sleep, and anything that is improving my sleep quality in the long run, I know is going to be really helpful. So yeah, I'm definitely on the sauna train now and see myself using this for a long time. If you have made it this far, thank you very much for watching. Those are all my updates for now, and I'm going to go get in the sauna now and go to bed.